They don't leave with a shout or a slammed door. They simply dissolve into the ether, leaving only a heavy silence where a vibrant human presence used to be. It feels sudden to everyone watching from the outside, but for the one who leaves, this departure has been happening slowly, quietly, internally, for years. We call them cold, ruthless, or detached. We say they are incapable of deep connection. But the psychology of the door slam tells a different story. The truth is rarely about a lack of feeling. Often, the person who cuts you off is the one who cared the most, for the longest, with the least return. To understand their silence, we must look backward, to the time before the wall was built. We must look at the child who was never allowed to leave. In their earliest memories, boundaries were treated as insults. To say no was dangerous. To have a separate self was seen as the ultimate betrayal. They learned a terrifying lesson very young, that love required total self-abandonment. To survive, they became experts at tolerating the intolerable. They swallowed their needs like bitter medicine. They smiled when they wanted to scream. They became the silent peacemakers in wars they did not start. This is the origin of the good child syndrome. The one who asks for nothing, simply absorbing the family's chaotic anxiety like a living, breathing sponge. But the body keeps the score. Every swallowed word, every ignored instinct settled into their nervous system, waiting for the moment it would overflow. People assume the cutoff is an impulsive reaction to a single event. They point to the final argument and say, "Look how brittle and oversensitive they are." But the final argument is never the cause. It is merely the last drop of water in a glass that has been overflowing for decades without anyone noticing. Before they left, they likely tried to explain. They hinted at their pain. They asked for change. But their voice was too quiet to be heard over the noise. Or perhaps they did scream and were told they were crazy. Gaslighting teaches you that your reality is wrong, so you stop sharing your reality at all. This leads to the most dangerous phase, the quiet withdrawal. They are still physically present in the room, but their spirit has already packed its bags. Jung might say they are confronting their shadow, the part of them that can no longer pretend. The mask of the pleaser begins to crack and fall away. They start to observe the relationship with clinical detachment. They see the patterns. They see the manipulation. They see that it will never change. It is a lonely realization. The moment you realize the people you love are incapable of loving you in the way you need to be loved is a quiet tragedy. Then comes the guilt. It washes over them in waves. Am I the bad one? They ask the empty room. Maybe if I just tried a little harder, it would work. Society reinforces this guilt. We are told that family is forever, that loyalty is a virtue, and that walking away is a sign of weakness or selfishness. But sometimes loyalty to others is betrayal of the self. There comes a breaking point where the cost of staying becomes higher than the cost of losing. This is when the door slams. It is rarely a loud noise. Usually it is a soft click, a number blocked, a holiday skipped, a silence that stretches on. For the person on the other side, it is baffling. Where did they go? But for the one who left, it is the first deep breath they have taken in years. The relief is immediate, but it is followed by a strange, hollow grief. It is the grief of mourning people who are still alive, walking the earth nearby. This is a specific kind of ambiguous loss. There is no funeral. There is no closure. There is only the knowledge that a bridge has been burned down. They don't cut people off because they hate them. They do it because they love them too much to stay and watch the toxic dynamic destroy them both, slowly. It is an act of survival. When you have no skin left, even a gentle touch feels like sandpaper. They retreat to grow a new skin, safe from the friction. In the silence, they finally meet themselves. Stripped of the role of fixer or scapegoat, they have to figure out who they are when no one is watching. It is terrifying. The silence is loud. The empty chair at the table screams accusations. But in that silence, a tiny voice begins to speak the truth. That voice says, "I matter." It says, "My peace is not a bargaining chip." It says, "I am allowed to exist without serving someone else's emotional needs." This is the hard work of reparenting. The adult self steps in to protect the inner child, doing what the biological parents could not or would not do. They build walls not to keep people out, but to see who respects the gate. A boundary is a test. Those who storm the castle were never safe to begin with. If you are the one who left, you know the specific loneliness of being the villain in someone else's story, just so you can be the hero in your own life. You carry the weight of their narrative. They tell the world you are cruel. You cannot correct them. You have to let them be wrong about you to be free. This requires a strength that is often invisible. It takes courage to choose the unknown darkness of freedom over the familiar darkness of the prison. Many who cut off eventually try to reconnect. The hope dies hard, but often they find the same patterns waiting for them, unchanged by the time apart. And so they leave again, this time with less guilt, this time with the finality of a judge passing a sentence. The verdict is, "I cannot save you." There is a deep sadness in that realization. We all want the movie ending where everyone heals, but real life often offers us messy, incomplete endings. The psychology here is rooted in attachment. Anxious attachment clings, avoidant attachment runs. But this is disorganized attachment finding safety. It is the chaotic nervous system finally seeking regulation. It is the conscious decision to stop setting yourself on fire just to keep others warm. Over time, the silence becomes less heavy. It transforms from a defensive wall into a garden fence. Flowers begin to grow where the battleground used to be. They learn that love doesn't have to hurt. They find friends who listen. They find partners who ask, "What do you need?" and actually wait for the answer. This new love feels strange at first. It feels boring because there is no adrenaline, no chase, no crisis. It takes time to trust the calm of safety, but slowly the nervous system uncoils. The hypervigilance fades. They stop scanning every room for threats and start looking for moments of genuine joy. If you see someone who has cut everyone off, do not judge the emptiness around them. That space was purchased at a very high price, paid in many tears. Understand that their solitude is a sanctuary. It is a hospital room where a long neglected soul is finally getting the rest it has always deserved. And if you are the one who did the cutting, know this: your capacity to leave is actually proof of your capacity to love yourself. It is not a flaw. You did not leave because you are broken. You left because you finally realized you were whole, and you refused to let anyone break you into pieces again. The guilt may never fully vanish. It is the scar tissue of empathy. It proves you are human. But do not let the guilt drag you back into the burning fire. Remember the little child you once were, the one who waited and hoped and tried. You are the sole guardian of that child now. You must keep them safe. The door you closed was not an act of war. It was an act of peace. You declared a ceasefire in a conflict that had consumed your entire existence alone. There is dignity in walking away. There is grace in knowing when a story has ended. Not every book is meant to be read until the very last page is turned. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is to release them to their own journey, while you bravely step forward to continue on your own separate path. You are rebuilding a life from the ground up. It is quieter now. The drama is gone. In its place is the gentle, steady rhythm of your own heartbeat. Listen to it. That is the sound of survival. That is the sound of a life that finally belongs to you and you alone. It is a sound worth protecting. You are not the ones who ran away. You are the ones who finally stopped abandoning yourselves. You chose the difficult right over the easy, comfortable wrong. The people who belong in your life will not need you to destroy yourself to stay. They will meet you in the middle, respecting the high walls you built. Until then, honor the silence. Let it heal you. Let it be the fertile soil where your authentic self can finally take deep root and begin to bloom. Now, you have walked through the fire and come out the other side. You are ash and diamond. You are the survivor of a war no one else even saw happen there. If this silence speaks to you, please share your story in the comments. We are a community of survivors, and in this space, you are never truly alone.